What is up, guys? Evan Aldo here. Welcome back. Wanted to give you guys a pre-recorded video. Really fun day in the cryptocurrency space right now. Just incredible. Well, I mean, almost all-time highs for Bitcoin. Trades are doing really well. I don't give you guys the stop losses or the take profits here, but if you're interested in the Discord, check it out. That's the new Bitcoin long I entered. That was signaled out in the Discord, and that's doing really well. Had some ETH setups and some other stuff too. I mean, obviously the altcoins still kind of lagging behind. And as always, guys, if you want to get one free month in the Aldo Empire VIP Discord, we got Nightshade in there, we got K-Mac in there, and obviously myself. A lot of really good TA. If you sign up for BYDFI or BloFin with the links down below, deposit at least $100, you can get a cool bonus, $50 bonus for 100 here on BYDFI. BloFin as well, and open a support ticket with your UID or your email in the Discord, and we'll give you one free month in the premium channels. Some good promos right now. As always, 10% cash back on your fees if you sign up my link for either of these exchanges. No KYC, no VPN. So got that over with, and let's get into kind of the charts here. If you want to see what I think will happen next. So I mean, if you've been watching me, my main view has been around 120K. By the end of this month, early July, the 4th of July, I think we had a dump the 4th of July either last year or the year before. I think it was last year that we kind of dumped down, and that would kind of make sense. You got your jump up, and then, who knows? It could even go higher. I don't know if it has to, exactly reject at this point, at the intersection right there. But that's kind of what you would guess, and kind of like how much longer we could remain bullish for. I mean, it could be into the end of July. It's no exact science, obviously, but you come up, let's say another 10% or something, do pretty well, make a slight new all-time high, get a lot of people back excited, back in the seat, especially ETH above 3,200, which I think it can. We'll talk about that in a second, but I think it can. And then finally, more of the bearish things that people have been, waiting for, like this wave confirming on the weekly. Maybe, it could take a few weeks to definitely hit that end of the month. I could see this really coming up here. And then you kind of get your summer lull, which is generally around, almost every 15-20% correction. So maybe down to 96. And this is the way that, I've been mapping this out for a while, something of this nature. And then back down here, I don't think it would be, well, yeah, probably, like I mentioned, 96, that would be around a 20% correction. And then you kind of have a little bit more fear, and then into, August, September, October, November, October being the earliest we could peak out. Then you kind of have your mania phase. It could be something quicker. 18 months, Bitcoin is always, I learned this on Because Bitcoin, on the Twitter space. Shout out to them that I go on. I'm a guest on occasionally. It always has topped out 18 months after the halving. Bitcoin's always topped out 18 months after the halving. That would be October. So that's like a quick, you're looking at maybe, you're looking at a big kind of jump up. But if you look at these previous jump ups, the steepness, the curvature, the steepness, I mean, yeah, not impossible. There's 136 right there. That would be my main thing, long term, some 130 to 160, kind of that range. I don't think you're going to go up to 200,000. I could be wrong. I mean, that's over a 10x from the previous. From the low, 15K would be a 10X, would be 150K. I don't think you would go up higher than that, but we'll see what happens. In terms of the thing that I've been telling you guys a lot, when to sell, I would think that this monthly would probably give you a red dot sometime in Q4, and that would probably be the end of it if history kind of repeats. It could be up until January, like January 18 was kind of that top, but it would be something like that. But, rule of thumb, like I mentioned in my kind of free DCA course, down below on evanaldo.com, rule of thumb is to DCA out from October to December every post-halving year. That would kind of be the view there. Now, if we get into some of the lower time frames, 2-day, this looks good. Everything looks good. If you break upward, like I mentioned, 120 is our main target. Maybe it'll just go up to 15. Maybe it'll go higher. Who knows? But, we're kind of reverse head and shoulders. One of my favorite, patterns when you're kind of trying to continue a bullish trend, that area. So Bitcoin looking pretty good. Let's move on to Ethereum a bit. And as long as Ethereum could hold, 2600, it's a breakout. So you'd want to hold 2700. It looks really good. It looks really good in this 2-day. You're coming up. You got the green dot, continued forward. I think a good goal into end of month or July is going to be 3,200. It's not impossible for it to get all the way up to 4K. There's rare bullish signs. You're about to get a true wave in the monthly. If there's anything that's going to really pump us up to 4K sometime in July, beginning of July, it would be those, rare bullish things confirmed there. I mean, if you look at this monthly, and this would be just your basic, like buying on spot, strategy. Last trigger wave brought you up like this much. If you were to compare that, there's your new all-time high sometime in October. What would happen? That trigger wave, red dot, you're probably going to do something like this again, I would assume. If you can get even close to that, unless you think ETH is just going to roll over and do that. But most of us don't think that. The next red dot, once that starts to get very close to printing or starts to printing, that's your most likely, sign at the top of the bull run. Same could probably be said on this 3-week if you want to get it a little bit earlier. Yeah, something like that probably. Next red dot would be the place to run. And that's your 4-year cycle, if you believe that's going to continue. And I don't see any reason to believe it won't. Technical target would be pretty obvious, right around the 3,200. So I think that's a very reasonable bet by the end of the month. Obviously, anything could happen though. Trying to jump off of this area could be a little bit risky. If you're trying to do a long right now, you could try something of this nature. I'd be lenient with the stop loss. Probably get a 2-to-1 or something right there for risk reward ratio. Risky. I don't know if it's the best time to enter a trade right now, but it may work out. ETH versus Bitcoin looking phenomenal, probably as good as possible, as good as it's looked since, I would argue, right here, probably even, that 3-week, kind of snake eyes. It's trying to get that jump up, and if you can get back up to 0.03, 0.04, that's kind of the case for, and I don't know the math in my head for this, but, if you can break upward back to 0.03, you might be at a 4K ETH or something, especially if Bitcoin stays a little bit more sideways. I don't know, though. But this looks really good, and I think ETH is like the safest kind of, one of the safest bets to make right now for crypto, in my opinion. Could be wrong, though. But I'm pretty confident on that right now, if you haven't been able to tell already. But obviously, as I would say, anything could happen. Others versus Bitcoin, this is interesting for altcoins. I mean, the big place you've wanted to hold is this kind of wick from February, and now you're back at it. I do think a lot of the ERC20 tokens, this looks okay. It could be better. I don't really like the yellow X in the 2-week. But if you look at like ETH versus others, that's getting a hit right there. So I think for this quarter, probably until like, I would say quarter 4, I think you're going to see a few months of ETH, probably a summer where ETH does very good. And now everybody's saying, you can't even see it, but everybody, it's just funny. Like, let me show you. Right, Ethereum charts show flash rare signal at seniors. Okay, sell signal, we're gonna crash, never mind. But yeah. There's always gonna be, everybody's looking at what you're looking at sometimes, so it is what it is. But anyway, ETH dominance, that looks like it could jump up higher, so I'm very very optimistic on ETH right now. 2-week, money flow starting to maybe get a little bit toppy here. So Bitcoin dominance, I think, can, come down. I don't know if you're going to see a full-fledged altcoin season yet. Your betting odds for the next rate cut and probably the end of QT are going to be in, September now. It could be like last year where when you saw that rate cut, everything started to do pretty well in quarter 4, and that may be the end of it. Or if your rate cut gets pushed back until maybe December or something, that may be the kind of sell signal. I think it's going to go either way. Like, you're probably not going to go sideways after you finally see the next rate cut. You're probably either going to jump a lot or you're going to dump a lot. So that's what I would kind of argue. ERC20 tokens, I think Chainlink can jump up. I think Chainlink looks pretty good here, trigger waves and such. I mean, everything overall looks pretty good. ApeCoin even, Solana trying to jump up to these points. So I think those like more common sense, like kind of trades people are trying to make, like trying to jump up to these areas, they should work out. Should. There's always the should part, but that's the thing here. I mean, DXY, in between. I don't know if this really tells us too much. Kind of, I don't know. I don't think this means much right now. I wouldn't even trade based on the DXY at the moment. I mean, you could look at the NASDAQ as well here. I would argue this is probably what you'll see. You make a new all-time high sometime early July. Typical summer lull that the stock market likes to see a lot. Maybe into, I don't know, it could be 1 to 2 months of bearishness. Maybe a 5 to 10% correction or something. And then, something like that or that, probably not going to be a tariff thing. And then into end of year, I would hope for, Yeah, I mean, I would hope for that area. And then you're looking at, a 14% gain on the year. That would probably be more than enough to get Bitcoin up to 150K, maybe even higher, who knows. But that's what we're looking at. And probably ETH up to, if we want to go back to ETH on what this would, kind of do, let's say we get up to that 3,200, which I think is like the most probable. Then you get your, let's see, that 20 to 25% correction. We get that 20 to 25% correction back down. Everybody gets annoyed. It's going to be faster than that or whatever. I'm on time. This is going to be, something like that, and then your bottom by sometime in August, and then into end of year. Yeah, then you get making your all-time highs or even higher up there to these areas into kind of end of year. I didn't draw this. I'd have to zoom in to draw this a little bit better, but you get what I'm saying. And it could work out exactly like that, but So anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys right now for the TA update. Hope you enjoyed the update. If you liked the video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, check out the Discord down below and check out the exchanges down below if you guys are interested in trading. A lot of good opportunities out there right now. We'll be continuing to post them in the Discord. All right, guys, have a good one. Goodbye.